ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
So, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I'm David Strege, and sorry about my slow motion camera. I do plan on updating and upgrading the camera eventually. And so lately I've been doing a lot of video collection videos, and a lot of my films are on shelves, and a lot of them are in boxes. And I figured I'd go through some of the boxes as we went here, and some of the shelves. I know there is a lot to go through, and it'll take me some time to show you exactly what's in what. So I thought I'd go on about, I have a box over here. Those of you who know me personally, I've often worked in the food business when I'm not doing reviews or whatnot. So I have some films in these egg boxes from a time when I used to work at George Webb's. And figured I'd go through this box that I have here. Now, my mom used to sit me down, and she actually used to buy VHS from Feature Films for Family. And I ended up coming across a few films while I was working at Salvation Army that I was able to set aside and buy later on from Feature Films for Family when they put them on DVD. And then what Feature Films for Family is they were a Christian-based video distribution company, specifically for video on demand, which means that these movies just went straight to VHS or DVD, and they didn't hit a theater or anything like that. But these were discussion-based films. In fact, there is a parental guide for family discussion on the backs of these films. And this particular one, in fact, this box seems to be a B box somewhat. So this particular film is called Booker. It looks like it was directed by Stan Lathan. And let me just show you and then I'll show you the back here real quick. If you can see real close here, there is a parental discussion guide where they ask questions, and then so on and so forth. So Booker tells the true story of Booker T. Washington, who is a young slave, dreams of learning to read and write. After the Civil War frees him, Booker is forced to work long hours in a salt furnace to help his family survive. But with hard work and persistence, Booker finds a way to learn and gain the freedom that comes with education. The film is approximately 56 minutes, and the film stars James Bond III, LeVar Burton. I'm assuming that that's Burton, who plays a father figure. So it's kind of fitting that LeVar Burton, who played in the original Roots, plays in this particular film. So I thought that this was a unique film to pick up. This one is an independent gore film from a French Canadian director by the name of Yann Chaos. I do not think that is his real name, but he's definitely got an interesting way of doing things. And this is number 13 out of 25 that he actually put out of this particular edition. He actually did the work and artwork himself. And this particular film is called Blood Orchestra, Cacophony of Death. And it says on the back here, an orgy of blood. Blood Orchestra, Cacophony of Death. Unholy evil spirits have been unleashed on Earth during the full bloody moon. While the moon was turning red, strange things start happening in the morning. Things got even worse. An orchestra of blood and death. Not only the moon has turned red. So, I like his artwork. I like his dedication to gore, and he just likes anything that's more sicker than sick. And he's always ending everything with 666 and messages to me. And he is his production company is called DIY Productions. I don't know if you can see that little Scully thing on the bottom there, but yeah. But there are some scenes from this, and yeah. The next film I see is Barrio Tales, Terror from South of the Border, and this is directed by Jarrett Tarnell. So, two American teenagers in search of cheap drugs trespass into the seedy town of Barrio, Mexico. What they find instead is a disturbed storyteller who takes them into his dark and twisted world filled with blood, witches, and cannibalism. So this is an anthology of sorts. And it's put out by Phase 4 Films, and it stars Matt Shibley, Anna Corby, Miles Wood, Aaron Jagger, Brent Tarnell, Glenn Powell, David Fernandez Jr., Lizzie Small, Carson Ahn, Gillen Guy, Alexander Aguila, Oscar Lopez, and Fabian Lopez. So there we have it. Barrio Tales. It looks kind of urban. And it looks like it's a fresh kind of a film. I have not watched it as of yet. Looks like it's also produced by the Tarnell brothers, which it says here Tarnell Group, I believe. So that must be a production a name for them. I'm interested in watching the film down the road, and it looks like it might be an interesting film. This one I have reviewed before. I have seen it before, and I remember it specifically because I like when filmmakers end up using a service called Kunikai. And Kunikai.com is a self-distributing source where you can make your send your artwork and your film to the company, and you ask for a specific amount of product, and you have them make it. And you can sell a lot through Kunikai by using their links and whatnot and sharing it to groups and whatnot. And I happen to love clowns. So this particular movie is called Beware of the Clowns. It's got an interesting, cool looking cover. And it's directed by Tim Wolak. Now, because it is independent, Tim Wolak uses a lot of his family and friends, and they put out a film about this clown king. And here we go. I'm going to read the back here. In Santa Mira, there's a dark past causing a law against clowns. But now, after years of peace, a murder reveals a new threat. The only one who can stop it is the brave sheriff. The sheriff is forced to protect the town and his twins, Joy and Lisa, from the terror. But it is the Clown King and his cult, the Clowns. Inspired by B-movies from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, this horror comedy is fast-paced and filled with the bizarre. So I thought that this was kind of a unique film. I liked the premise of it. I liked the production. I thought it was a decent, and it came with this little small poster of the artwork and whatnot. So there we go. So that one was called Beware of the Clowns. So this one is called Blood Trail. It stars Adrian Pasdar, Barry Tubb, AJ Preston, Larry Mahan, Sarah Essex, Craig Ironpipe, Megalai Amadai, and Robert Earl Keane. The director of this is Barry Tubb, and this was put out by Lionsgate. This is called Blood Trail, kind of an interesting Western looking kind of film, kind of sort of. And when a group of cowboys lays claim to an old and sacred Indian burial ground, an evil spirit is released and possesses one of them, willing him to go on a horrific killing spree. 4 U.S. Marshals, led by a young Native American, are brought together to stop the bloodshed. However, they quickly find that in order to stop the evil spirit, they must pursue him in the sacred ways of the Indians. The trail leads deep into the West, where each man must resort to the instincts of an animal to finally destroy the ferocious monster. So, it sounds like an interesting twist. I'll definitely be checking that out. Now, here is a short film that was picked up by Troma, but this is a copy of the short film before it even began on Troma. So this was put out by a company called Clones, and it's called A Banana Motherfucker. And the film looks like it's directed by Pedro Florencio and Fernando Ala in 2011. And on the back of this, it says 6 adventurers embark on a quest to find a mystical cemetery. After disturbing the dead, they trigger an ancient curse that will destroy the entire world. So this is called Banana Motherfucker, and it's like a invasion of the body snatchers, except with bananas. It was so original and so funny. I mean, it was just comical, and I loved it. Uh, this one is one of the first films that I had actually collected from Sub Rosa Cinema, which is owned and managed by Ron Bonk. But I have not watched this as of yet. It has since gotten a Blu-ray release, and so on and so forth. But it's called Bangin' Vengeance, and there is the cover to it. Looks kind of cool. Amber Rain would do anything to be a star, but when her botched, busted implanted boobs started talking, Amber learns that the road to success is paved in blood. Set in the seedy side of Las Vegas, where everyone wants to make a buck, Amber takes revenge on all the men who wronged her. Lied to, abused, scarred, Amber Rain will have her vengeance. It's produced by Rick Moe Productions. It stars Kizzy Duncan, Laura Hope, Brian Steele, Victor Vandermeer, Merwa, and Cheyenne Bayat. Edward Stewart, Shane Simmons, Chris J. Clements, Hemming Hopkins, Harry Kenyon, Adrian Patterson, Laura Miller, Rebecca Strom, and Olivia Keene. This was directed by Richard Mogg. I have not seen this, but it sounds like it could be a crazy film to watch. I'm definitely looking forward to eventually watching it. So this was a film, one of the films that I had actually gotten in part of a Kickstarter campaign for Clown Motel, the short film. It's called Bloody Island, and it's directed by Joseph Kelly, and it looks like this was a Kickstarter exclusive from the Kickstarter campaign for this film. But I'm glad that I was able to get a copy of this particular film, because it sounds like uber crazy. So Officer Bob Butterfield agrees to one last job of an abandoned amusement park after the supposed death of serial killer Billy Fowles, with 2 ex-Marines joining. No better way to keep the community service workers in line, right? The owners of the amusement park, Freak Show, loves to put on a good show for the few who find this island. The question is, will they be the ones putting on the show? Bloodshed evidently says, sickening killing spree, make you choke on your popcorn, hacked in the head. And that's actually not Bloodshed. That was Hacked in the Head, which was a reviewer site evidently at the time. Billy Fowles is a fucking maniac. Freddy Krueger on meth. That was from Bloodshed. So you have a lot of people in here. Evidently, the music was by John Centrone and performed by Christopher Woods. Actually, Chris Woods is in here. William Mayer, Stephen Senna, Todd Forkel, Reese Lyons, Jamie Morgan, Michael Senovanke, Jarvis Davis, Derek Rosa, Steve Hanzai, Erica Lorenzetti, Liza Pabin, um, Amelia Favada, Casey Litzenberger. These were all people that were in it. And I believe Sean C. Kelly was in here too, for just a bare little. And evidently, it was winner of Fright Night Film Fest in 2016. So it's called Bloody Island, and it is signed by Joseph Kelly. So that was kind of cool to get along with. This is also in the Bees, evidently. It's called Blood Moon River, and this is one of H.M.M. films. Director. The screenplay is by Tom Commissar, but it was written by and directed by Tom Commissar and Daniel Murphy. And it was a found-on-footage film that I was able to put money into helping them get it out there. And this is number 18 out of 100 of their limited edition. They only made 100 copies of this film. It is a 2-disc, and on the second disc, I believe, is a short film. But as you can see, it's all kinds of signed. When Eddie and his friends decide to take their cameras into the woods to debunk the legend of Blood Moon River, they soon realize that they may have bitten off more than they can chew. After searching for 2 friends that failed to meet them at the campground, their situations goes from bad to worse. A confrontation with a family of psychotic rednecks the next day convinces everyone that it might be a good idea to leave. But after getting a glimpse of something stalking them in the woods, Eddie and his friends realize that the legend of Blood Moon River may be all too real. So I thought that this was a decent. I like how they used the split screen at the time. I thought it was a decent found-on footage. It wasn't an entirely great, nor was it an entirely bad film at the time. In fact, I really liked the storyline involved in this film. Looking back on it, I really am glad that I was able to get and pick up a copy, because you know what? Not too long after that, this film and another film were picked up for distribution. So kudos for being able to be part of that production, gentlemen. So this is a copy of a film that was produced by Gershis Gudner of he's got a production company out there for himself, and it's called Bacchanal do Diablo, or Orgy of the Devil. And it is with English subtitles, but he did this. He directed. He was able to work with Ivan Cardoso, a Brazilian director, and he's Brazilian himself. So they worked together on this not too long ago. And when I was buying movies from Gershis Gudner's catalog, this was one that he suggested among the Ivan Cardoso films. So I have not watched this as of yet, but I'm very curious as to what he put together with Ivan Cardoso himself. So, thank you for letting me get a copy, Gershus. So, this is a copy of a this is called Bacchialis Sexualis. And as you can see, that's the name of it. And it's a French film, I believe. It is, and here's what it says on the back. This is the widescreen edition. Nudity, guns, lesbians, sex, French maids. Want to see something really weird? A film that defies description. A DVD cult classic that must be seen to believe. And this is a Synapse Films release. From acclaimed horror director Gene Rollin, credited here as Michael Gentile, comes Bacchialis Sexualis, also known as Fly Me the French Way. A soft-core sex romp sure to please fans of erotic 1970s cinema. And cinema is spelled like S-I-N. Valerie, a beautiful young girl, watches over her cousin's place while he's away for 6 months. She spends her first night there, reading, playing records, and calling her girlfriend Sophie over for some hot lesbian sex. That night, members of a crazed sex cult break in and mistakenly kidnap Sophie. Valerie's cousin, a member of this cult, has some incriminating photos, and the leader wants to ruin his life. Once the kidnapping plot is uncovered, Valerie and Sophie's horny friend, Fred, go to the cult's mansion, Stronghold, to stop all this madness. And madness it is! This cult classic from Gene Rollin is an insane mix of humor and sex. Beautiful nude women, tons of on-screen lovin', and even French maids beating the snot out of each other. What's not to like here? The U.S. version of this film was cut by almost 30 minutes, and the Synapse Films presents the longer French version on this DVD. Bacchialis Bacchanales Sexualis, also known as Fly Me the French Way, Tout le monde ado. It's exactly what you think it isn't. So I'm looking forward to checking this film out. I came across Gene Rollin's films at one point in time. I love his area locations. The locations are always unique in every film. This is one that I actually have not watched yet. So there's definitely a lot of films here that I have not, as of yet, watched yet. Gary Daniels plays in this next film called Blood Moon. And this is directed by Tony Leung, Leung. So Leung or Leung. Brought to us by Seasonal Film Corporation and Media of Medias. A red moon, a blood moon, is rising, and someone is going to die. Ken O'Hara, played by Gary Daniels, is a mind hunter, a serial killer specialist, enlisted to find the mass murderer intent on killing the strongest fighters in New York City. Trying to catch this cunning and clever killer is the hardest assignment Ken has ever had. Now the moon is rising again, and he must use all of his resources to hunt down the murderer, or he may be the next to die. This also features Chuck Jeffries, Darren Shalavi, and Frank Gorshin. So this should be an interesting, action-packed thing, and this I actually got from Lamoira Video, which the owner of that video store I happen to know. His niece and Lamoira Video evidently was a video rental uh, company that was here in Wisconsin, or whatnot, and I wanted to give reference to his name because he died not too long ago. In any case, now comes the. This film was the first film that I had come across that was James Balsamo's film, and it's called Bike School. I ended up buying this from his site, and then eventually I needed to buy the rest of his films. Now, I love the outside of this film. I love that his films are printed, and I mean, just look at that animation on there. That is awesome. So, James Balsamo is a fan of films, and not every single one of his films are great, but they're definitely watchable. And oftentimes, he will use horror figures that have been in films and he'll ask them to stand in, and it'll probably only be a small little snippet, but it's like his tribute to horror and whatnot. And he's got a lot of humor in his films. So, Tony never thought a toilet plunger shaped steak would save his life. Fast cars and big breasted supermodels could be a thing of the past when Tony's life takes a sudden change after his grandfather cuts him off from his inheritance. His grandfather, I believe, was played by Herschel Gordon Lewis. That is, unless Tony goes to night school to get his GED. With his fortune on the line, Tony has no choice but to go back to school, where he falls in love with his classmate Vicky, a vampire princess, and makes friends with her roommate, a Hawaiian shirt wearing, pot smoking bat named Spat. Vicky, the heir to the throne of the vampire underworld, wants nothing more than to abandon her royalty. But a power-hungry high priestess is hell-bent on taking Vicky's crown away. When a blood moon rises, the priestess shows her true form as a two-headed bat creature with a snake body. Armed with only with his plunger, Tony will need to stop her from destroying the world. But killing the beast and studying for a final won't be easy. See the most outrageous vampire horror comedy that doesn't suck. It's an education, and you can really sink your teeth into. So, this was put out, and it stars Butch Patrick, Herschel Gordon Lewis, and Ron Jeremy. Acid Bloodbath Productions is James Balsamo's film production company. So I thought that this was a unique horror independent film, and I've bought every single film that he's had for quite some time now. Again, this particular short film is from Clones, and it is, I believe, directed by Nuria Leon Bernardo this time. This one's called Blargargarg, and it's from the same producers of Banana Motherfucker, and this is the original DVD of the short film. And let me just read the back here. Zeka is a loser. He lives with his grandmother and works as an exterminator. One day, while working, Zeka has an accident which will spawn the meanest, most horrible monster ever. And I love the creature in this. It is so unique and original. It kind of reminds me of something like the Blob, except with paper machete. It was definitely a unique film, and I love that I have a copy of it before it's got. I think it got picked up by Trauma or whatnot. Um, so I ended up getting this a copy of this film signed, and I saw this film going around, but I didn't pick it up for a time because I was collecting myself, and it's called Blood of the Trebides. And here's what it's about. It's from Launchover Productions. It's directed by Sofia Cacchiola and Michael J. Epstein, who are directors of 10, and I believe there is an Alice in Wonderland kind of spin-off sci-fi feature that I can't rightly remember right now, but I'm sure I will eventually. 2,000 years after the coming of the great vampire Bathor, superstition and religious violence abound when the men are afflicted with a mysterious illness. The vampire women are blamed for their ills, and thus um, the hunt begins. Long forgotten lovers, Elizabeth and Fantine, discover it is their fate to piece together the past before Bathor's impending return and judgment. So there are two factions that are warring against each other. And the thing that I like and love is it's kind of a men against women kind of thing, and men often forget that they cannot be without women. But on the other hand, I like how artsy this film was. It was a theatrical production that was put to film. It's like they used the stage, and they are more theatrical. This particular story seemed like it could have been put on stage as something. So to me, some of the set design reminds me of something that could have been on Broadway or something to that effect. And that's what I got from this production. It was very. There was a lot of royaltiness. Um, so I love the um, the costume design for either factions. And I did like some of the acting that was involved in here as well. So it was definitely a unique film, and I wouldn't mind watching it again sometime soon. Um, Another film that is here in the Bees, it's called Bunny Whipped, and it's directed by Rafael Riera, Jody Loren Adams, Esteban Pal, Laz Alonso, Brandy Roderick, Rebecca uh, Brayhart. Adventures in Love, Fear, and Rabbits. So I'm not even going to read the back of this one, but you can see that this one is another film, evidently. It might have something to do with Easter. Save the rabbit, save the romance. So definitely looks like a chick flick, a comedy of some sort. This one is another Synapse release. It's called Budo, The Art of Killing. This film says it was filmed entirely in Japan. Budo, The Art of Killing is a highly acclaimed docudrama and a favorite of martial arts practitioners and fans alike, highlighting the various techniques of Budo, karate, judo, aikido, etc. This action-packed film is a visual fest exploring the spiritual and historical traditions, training, and techniques of this specialized form of martial arts. Synapse is proud to present this stunning cult classic in a newly remastered version transferred from original Vault materials, a must-see even for fans of Japanese history. Budo the art of killing is powerful and frequently amazing. Stuns the beholder, and that was from Variety. So, I'm definitely looking forward to checking this docudrama out from 1982, put out by Synapse. I'm just going to do one more from this box for today, as there are many more films to get to from this box. I'm just going to do. Evidently, this is this is Blu-ray, DVD, and 3D Blu-ray. So it's not just Blu-ray; it is also 3D Blu-ray of the movie Bait. And though I don't have a Blu-ray TV, a 3D Blu-ray TV, or a Blu-ray player that plays 3D, I absolutely loved this film. Bait has some pretty decent graphics, especially for having to do with CGI. I think money was well spent in the film, and I know it was better. I'd put it up there with the remake of Piranha, the effects or whatnot, and the humor. So it was definitely unique, and I'd love to watch this again. So it stars Xavier Samuel, Sharni Vinson, and Julian McMahon. And it was directed by Kimball Rendell. So I did watch that one, and I would watch that film again and again. So in any case, thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Hopefully you enjoyed my description or this video collection video, and definitely watch more that's out there. So thank you so much. And I'll have more for you soon.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?